You know, something we don't talk about enough in the independence planning, the independence movement, the independence strategies in Alberta and Saskatchewan is how can we impact our population balance to make a better chance of a yes vote in the future, whether it's next year, 5 years, 10 years. This is something Quebec's been working on for a long time. It's one of those areas we've got to learn from Quebec and emulate with Quebec. One of the problems we got going on in Canada right now for quite a while is mass immigration. I don't have a problem with immigration. Immigration makes places stronger if it's done smart, if it's done right. And I don't care necessarily where the immigrants come from. If they're bringing talent, skills, and they're culturally affable to moving in and living peacefully within a Western society. There's a few conditions, but they're very important ones. Because right now we're bringing in a lot of unskilled bums who hate the Western world and are bringing their hate and overseas problems with them here. Now, as a province, we only have limited control over who may or may not come to our province. Now, Quebec has pushed with that, I think it's called the Quebec Accord, but they at least have a say in how many immigrants are targeted to be brought in to their province. Once a person's in Canada, there's not much a person can do to stop, a province can do to stop interprovincial migration. Until we're independent, we can't stop somebody from coming from Ontario to Alberta or leaving Alberta to go to Nova Scotia. Well, we never prevent anybody from leaving a state. That's what communists do. If you want to leave, leave. In fact, we should be encouraging some people to leave. We should be making it less comfortable for the non-ambitious, for the troublesome. If they want to raise their crap, if they want to form a caliphate, go to Montreal, go to Toronto. BC has better welfare programs. Go to BC. Remember, Ralph Klein used to actually put the welfare bombs on the bus and send them to BC. Go there. I'm serious. One of the areas that everybody lost it about with the Alberta Next hearings was one of the things that was discussed was perhaps some people with certain citizenship status shouldn't qualify for certain social programs. Well, it's true. You aren't citizens. Guess what? Citizenship comes with some privileges. And if you either didn't choose to make that step to become a full citizen, or you haven't qualified to be a full citizen, why should we give you everything else that a full citizen has? So we want immigrants coming to Alberta. We want to invite. I think we should be framing Alberta as the place of freedom. Let's bring in people from other parts of Canada or other parts of the world to come here to be independent-minded. I mean, people have been critical of Smith because she opened the doors for a while, and it's true. Say, come on, Alberta, everybody come on in. And then suddenly we were overwhelmed with our healthcare, our education, our rental housing. The funny thing is, it shows that double standard of the, I'll just kind of digress for a second here. Our national media, look at this consequence because Smith invited everybody in. Now everybody in Alberta screwed. Well, guess what? The healthcare is overwhelmed in Toronto. It's overwhelmed in Vancouver. It's overwhelmed in Halifax. It's because of mass immigration coming from Ottawa, not just what Premier Smith was trying to do. But opening the floodgates without conditions, stupid. Opening the floodgates, targeting who you want to bring in, smart. Quebec blamed, famously, Parizeau when they lost the referendum back in the 90s by less than 1%. He blamed immigrants and Jews. Pure Quebec attitude. It's funny, again, Albertans get labeled the rednecks and the intolerant in Canada. Guys, you might want to have a look over to the area you're scared to criticize all the time because they put Albertans to shame by a long shot. But what they've been doing ever since has been trying to bring in legislation to build the winning conditions on the ground. They understand they've got to change the demographic. And their way of doing it is more through bigotry and intolerance. What they're doing is linguistically constantly abusing, chasing business owners around, finding a Chinese food place because their Chinese print was bigger than the French print in it, or banning crucifixes, religious symbols. Look, guys, the reason they're doing that is to make anybody not French uncomfortable and hopefully leave Quebec. I don't think that's so much an approach we want to do. Like I said, hey, if we got the lazy, we got the bums, we got the intolerant, we got the criminals. You know what? If we want to, if we can facilitate them moving somewhere else, I think we should. But I don't think we should be pushing law-abiding citizens out because they speak a different language or they're of a different religion or color. It's the behavior that counts. But we should be doing it in the sense of pulling more people in. The people in Toronto, there's great conservatives there. There's great conservatives in Newfoundland. There's great conservatives in Lower Mainland BC. And they're getting tired of being taxed to death. Promote Alberta as the island of conservatism. The retreat, the place you can bring your business to where it'll be respected, where we respect and value capitalism, individual freedoms, even if the rest of the country doesn't. Because look at how the balance is happening in the United States, and that's what's making me think about it. You know, they've elected a virtual communist lunatic as the mayor of New York. This man wants to tax people based on race. He wants to raise minimum wage in New York to $30 an hour. Free transit, free daycare, government-controlled grocery. It's going to be a disaster, guys. It's going to be a disaster. And he thinks he's going to pay for all of it by, of course, guess what? Taxing the rich. What is that going to do? They're going to be driven out of New York. You know, what they did in New York has been one of the best boons Florida, Texas, Tennessee, all those other states could imagine. If you look at the interstate migration patterns in the United States, Texas, Florida, Arizona, Nevada, they're all growing from interstate immigration. Who's losing? California, New York. And look who they're losing. They're losing their business people. They're losing their workers. They're losing the ambitious. They're losing the principled. And what's filling the void? The bums, the lazy, the socialists. The ones who can't fit in a society where personal responsibility is valued. That imbalance is going to lead to a really bad long-term problem in the United States. But you know, we're getting that imbalance in Canada too. And I think we should encourage that imbalance. Bring, you know, those ambitious people to Alberta. Bring those businesses to Alberta. Create that true Alberta advantage. Let them know, come here and you won't have to deal with that crap in the other parts of Canada. And I understand it's going to lead to an imbalance that has to crash. But guess what? We're independent supporters. That's what we want to see. We want to see a crash. Because that yes vote, here it is. The island of freedom in the sea of socialism. You know, I don't wish the worst on the rest of Canada, but once we've got a proper border up, they can't drain us any further, and they'll have to learn to either emulate those successful provinces, now independent states that are doing well, whilst they're stuck in the mire of their own creation. We got to strategize on some of these things. You know, some of the discussion, and I'll talk again, certainly in a video tour as the UCP AGM comes up. I know some people are upset that the independence question isn't going to be coming up at the AGM. I know I differ with a lot of independent supporters on it. I don't think it's the place of the UCP to mire themselves in it, as their role is to get us the conditions so we can do this ourselves. That's what their job is. Not, if you want Premier Nenshi, then let's turn the UCP into a separatist party. That'll do it. Then we're screwed. Then we are really up the creek in a way we never imagined. We need a referendum. We need to make sure the UCP gives us that referendum. We need to put pressure on them to do that. We need other actions as well. One of those actions is pushing harder on who we want in Alberta, what kind of people we want. I know some clowns are going to, what are you talking about? Are you talking about non-white people? I don't care. I don't care about the color. I just want hardworking people, law-abiding people, people who value a stable, peaceful society, and whatever color that might be. There's enough white trash we could do without as well. I've talked about that in other things before as well. People saying the reason an independence vote might not win is because the influx of people come in. Well, not necessarily. If we got the right people coming in, they're just as good an independent supporter as anybody else. Don't forget that Nenshi was born in Calgary, I think. Notley was from Alberta. She was born here. Some of our worst socialists were born in Alberta, guys, and some of our best Albertans came from somewhere else. But let's have that advertising campaign. Come to Alberta, make it your home. Saskatchewan, same thing. Get away from the mire. Let's have the quality float to these Western provinces. Let the rest of Canada have what they will. But it also builds us, because we're looking towards a referendum probably in 2026. Great. Boy, we've got a heck of a hill to climb to win that next year. That's a big, big leap. I know some people are really optimistic and things are going really well. The momentum is on the side of the independent supporters. Absolutely. But are we over 50, 60%? Not yet. Not a chance. Sorry. Hate to say it. We aren't there yet. Part of it is being on the ground, convincing more people, of course. And the APP, for example, they're doing a fantastic job of it, holding meetings all over, packing rooms, and organizing, getting ready for it. But the other part is looking at our demographics, looking at our strategies. If we don't win in 2026, we're going to shoot for the goalposts when it comes. We still have to look at the longer game. Well, what do we do to make sure we win in 2029 or whenever the next chance is? Got to look at it similarly to Quebec, but not as intolerant as Quebec. How do we build in a positive way a province where the majority are willing to get up and say, you know what, I want to vote, become independent, make this a place where we can take advantage of these abundant resources, this great attitude, this business-friendly climate, this individual-friendly climate where my freedoms can be respected, where my children's freedoms will be respected, and they have a good future ahead of them. Bring them in, come on in, vote yes, let's become independent. It's just one more thing in the list of things we got to do, but it's one we don't talk about a lot. It's a longer game one, so we got to be a little more, thoughtful in how we're going to do it. That, other things, I always got to plug my book though, The Sovereigntist Handbook. It's available on Amazon. Again, for those that don't already have it, it's more on the how to spread that independence message and how to become a more effective advocate for it. And it's more geared to people who've already made their mind up and realize it's time to become independent. But if you haven't got a copy yet, grab one. There's a link down in the description where you can grab one on Amazon. Gets there within a couple of days. If you got one already, I appreciate that. Either way, guys, just one more thing to think of on the road to independence. We're on the right track.